We're in the land of the rising sun, Japan. The cherry blossom is out in Kyoto, the old capital of Japan, and everybody is out for Hanami, which literally means flower viewing in Japanese. The Golden Pavilion is a Zen Buddhist temple and one of Japan's greatest attractions. Although originally built in the 14th century, it was burnt down in 1950 by a novice monk and subsequently rebuilt 5 years later. Ryoanji is a classic example of a meditative Zen garden. There are 15 rocks, but you can only ever see 14 from any angle. Only through enlightenment will the viewer be able to see the 15th. At Nishiki Market, there is a wide variety of food on offer, so we buy some snacks for lunch and watch the entertainment at the nearby riverside. Takayama is a beautiful area of Kyoto, preserving the original architecture of traditional Japanese tea houses and townhouses. Close to the historic Gion district, so we're going to see some traditional dancing from a geisha and a maiko, one of their apprentices. About an hour out of Kyoto is Nara. The first thing you notice is the incredibly tame deer in the park. These deer are regarded as messengers of the gods and have learnt a very useful trick. If you bow to them, they will bow back to you, a very handy way to get fed by the impressed visitor. The Tadaiji Temple houses the world's largest bronze statue of the Buddha. It stands 15 metres tall and weighs 500 tons. A popular attraction in the temple is a pillar with a hole in its base, which is the same size as the large Buddha's nostril. Apparently, those people who can squeeze through the opening will be granted enlightenment in their next life. Up the hill from the park is the Kasuga Shrine, famous for its many bronze lanterns, as well as the 3,000 stone lanterns which lead up to the shrine. On the way back to Kyoto, we stop at the Fushimi Inari Shrine, renowned for its thousands of bright vermilion torii gates. The tunnel of gates leads us on a trail through the wooded forest of the sacred Mount Inari. It's our first glimpse of the Japanese bullet train. Travelling at speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, we're taking a trip to Hiroshima. Our first stop is Miyajima Island, where we're greeted by the famous floating torii gate, which acts as an entrance to the Itsukushima Shrine. Monday, August the 6th, 1945, at 8:15 in the morning, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, directly killing 70,000 people and doubling the death toll within the year due to injury and radiation. This area of the Peace Park is in memory of a girl called Sadako Sasaki, who died aged 10 from leukemia as a result of the nuclear explosion. In exchange for the granting of a wish, she and her classmates folded 1,000 origami cranes. The Peace Flame is another monument to the victims of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima, but it has an additional symbolic purpose. The flame has burned continuously since it was lit in 1964, and it will remain lit until all nuclear bombs on the planet is destroyed, and the planet is free from the threat of nuclear annihilation. On the morning of the explosion, in what's now the tourist office, 170 metres from the detonation centre, a meeting was taking place. One of the employees excused himself to fetch something from the basement. While he was there, the bomb exploded, and he survived while all his colleagues were vaporised in the upper floors. After this sobering history lesson, we need cheering up, and there's no better way than to experience the showmanship and deliciousness of a Hiroshima-style pancake. Comprising a seemingly endless array of ingredients, this is guaranteed to fill you up for a day or three. Starting off proceedings are the pancake base, cabbage, shrimp tempura and bean sprouts. Then the noodles are cooked while bacon and cheese are added. The pancakes are flipped and customised with fillings such as leek kimchi. Then we add an egg and brush the top with plum sauce. Finally, spring onion is added as a garnish before the whole delicious gooey concoction is served to your own personal hot plate. Yum, yum. From Kyoto, we're heading north into the Japanese Alps, past snowy mountains and blue rivers to visit Takayama. This town has narrow pedestrian streets lined with old townhouses and sake shops. At nearby Hida folk village, around 30 houses in traditional architectural styles have been painstakingly moved from their original location and rebuilt here. They range from 100 to 500 years old. Tonight we're staying in a ryokan, a traditional Japanese guest house, so it's off with our shoes, on with the kimono, and welcome to our simple room with its tatami mats and uncluttered simplicity. In the evening, we're treated to a feast of sashimi, tempura, eel sushi and many other traditional dishes. We walk off the food with a visit to see the illuminated cherry blossom trees at a nearby park. When we return to the room, the furniture has been stowed away and replaced with futons for a good night's sleep. The next morning, we're back in Takayama, and we're lucky enough to be there on the day of their annual spring fair. As we walk around, we get a close-up view of the 11 large ornate shrine floats, or yatai, which date back to the 17th century. Everybody's out in costume for the grand procession, including children and pets. On top of each yatai is a marionette called a karakuri, which has 36 strings and can be operated by up to 9 puppeteers simultaneously. After the karakuri performance, the procession begins, and all the townspeople parade up and down the narrow streets, playing music, carrying shrines, and performing as dragons. continue our journey through the Japanese Alps and walk the Nakasendo, the famous central mountain route of the Edo period, used by the shogun to communicate and rule the country.
Ringing hard against the bears.
Bells along the route are rung to warn off bears in the area.
Okay, here's the dry fart. There's the bubbling springs.
At the end of our short walk is the town of Sumago. This is the picture-perfect view of Japan that I've been looking for, and as we stroll around, the rain clouds part and sunny skies return. As the evening arrives, we reach Matsumoto and view the illuminated 400-year-old castle, where festivities are still taking place for the Hanami season. In the morning, the castle is even more resplendent with the backdrop of the Alps and blossom trees, and people are celebrating with tea ceremonies and samurai outfits. From Matsumoto, we make a brief stop at Abuse, where we see some beautiful gardens. Finally, we're off to see the highlight of the Alps, the snow monkeys in Yudanaka. No sooner have we arrived in the park than we see the Japanese macaques at the side of the trail, including a mother and baby. These famous monkeys descend from the steep cliffs to bathe in the waters of the natural hot springs. It's a warm morning, so we're not expecting the monkeys to go into the hot water. But luckily, a youngster feels a need for a dip, and we get to see him swimming around. final destination in Japan is the immense capital city of Tokyo, home to almost 14 million people. We start off in the fashion and shopping districts of Shinjuku and Shibuya to see the people and neon nightlife. The following morning, we travel an hour out of Tokyo to Lake Ashi to try and catch a glimpse of Mount Fuji. We've been told to expect disappointment, as it's usually covered by clouds. However, our luck is in today, as the mountain appears out of the clouds with the Torii Gate in the foreground.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. Right, and I pushed one. Hey! What did I get?
30. 40.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Back in Tokyo, we visit the Sensoji Temple, the oldest temple in Tokyo dating back to the 7th century. The Thunder Gate entrance leads to a long stall of souvenir shops before reaching the main temple. This building, the Asahi Beer headquarters, was created by the famous French designer Philippe Starck to resemble a beer glass and foamy head. Referred to locally as the Golden Turd, I'm not sure he succeeded. After the hustle and bustle of the city, we get some welcome tranquility in Hamarikyu Gardens, a lovely landscape park with a large pond and tea house. It may not be sumo wrestling season at the moment, but our guide has found a local training house where we can watch these guys practice their moves for the upcoming tournaments. They warm up with a few exercises before having a real fight or two. Ueno Park is famous for the cherry blossoms, and even though the flowers have almost finished by the time we reach Tokyo, it's still a beautiful place to visit. For lunch, we find a great diner in the Shinjuku district, full of movie and pop paraphernalia from the 80s. Our final destination in Tokyo is the Imperial Palace, still the primary residence of the Emperor of Japan.